Deadpool 3 was announced. I talked a little bit about it. I'm gonna tick tack. Berserker. Okay. Logan is coming back. Wolverine's coming back. Everybody knows. I'm not gonna go over. James Mangold, the director of Logan, retweeted a GIF of the end of Logan, getting him dying basically. And then he's like, "Everybody chill. I was just playing." You know, Ryan was like, "Bro, come on, man. We just announced this movie. Like, why you got to do this to us?" You know, that's what happened. James Mangold is like, "Chill out. No matter what timeline it is, no matter if it's canon, non-canon, whether it's a prequel." You know, he laid out all the different scenarios, time travel, of which this movie can exist. And many people are just assuming it's going to be a variant, like Loki, Spider-Man. They're assuming it's just going to be, or in Doctor Strange with Professor X, they're assuming it's just going to be an 838 variant of Wolverine. You know, we saw Logan. Not Logan. We saw Professor X 838, right? In Doctor Strange. So maybe this is an 838 version of Wolverine. Me personally, I would start the movie right after Days of Future Past ends, which is 2023. Logan goes back to the mansion. Professor X has to fill him in on what has happened in between Dark Phoenix, where he gets, not Dark Phoenix, Apocalypse, right? Yes, Jean Grey gives him a little piece of his memory back at the end of Apocalypse, a little cameo. He runs away, scurries off. We don't see Wolverine. We don't see what Wolverine was doing from in between Dark Phoenix and Days of Future Past in the new timeline. That's like if Apocalypse was 1980, was it 83, because they went to see Return of the Jedi. Apocalypse was 83, so we don't know what Logan has been doing from 1983 to 2023. So you can do Deadpool 3 in any of that time period if you want to do it. Because eventually he shows back up, or eventually he wakes up in the bed in 2023 with his memories from fucking Days of Future Past, and like it finally catches up to him. So he has like a whole history, a whole life that 20 years he was living that he doesn't remember. And Professor X says, "You have a lot to learn. You have a lot to catch up on." Okay, there you go. What if that Wolverine was already doing shit with Deadpool? That whole time. He could have been doing shit with Deadpool. And now he wakes up at the end of Days of Future Past. And he has to get filled in because he doesn't remember shit. Because he was drowning. So you can choose to have Deadpool from 1983. Probably not. Because Deadpool was more modern day, right? To 2023. All that could be explored. So from the last 10 years, him and Deadpool could have been doing shit. Or you can start after Days of Future Past, after he wakes up, after he talks to Professor X, gets his memories back, he sees Jean Grey alive, Cyclops is still alive. You know, leaving Logan out of the picture, because Ryan already said, we're not touching Logan. Deadpool comes out 2024. If it's set in that era, modern era, that's a year after Logan regains his memories in Days of Future Past. And all the X-Men are there. Everybody's alive again. It would be the whole team still alive. Deadpool could show up. And you can get everybody back in like one scene. And then he takes Logan on a road trip or something. On a mission. Something's going to happen. I just think that would be a great opportunity. Bring everybody back for a scene. Continue on in the timeline. Oh, the continuity, schmontinuity. The X-Men don't have a timeline. And they don't have a timeline. Listen, guys, if you watch the movies, it's very clear. There's two timelines. There's pre Days of Future Past and after Days of Future Past. And Logan is It could be after Days of Future Past if that's how you want to look at it, or it's a separate alternate timeline. Mutants haven't been born in 20 years, but we don't know what's happened in those 20 years from after Dark Phoenix, which is like the 90s, early 90s. From the early 90s to the end of Days of Future Past, from Days of Future Past, we see some students. But what if those are the last of the students? Logan is 2029. So I don't know, guys. Logan could be a separate thing. But from all the other X-Men movies, X-Men Wolverine Origins, X-Men 1, 2, Last Stand, the Wolverine, Days of Future Past. That's the first timeline. And then the second timeline, First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix, New Mutants, Deadpool 2, Logan. That's how I look at it. But no, I don't know, continuity, schmontinuity. It's like, guys, the original events of the X-Men trilogy got erased, and those are gone, dude. Like, it's comprehension is important, people. Just because you can't comprehend the movies and the timeline that they laid out doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, and it's continuity, schmontinuity. Oh, but the Cyclops was in Origins is different than the Apocalypse. That's because Origins is a prequel to the first original X-Men movie, dude. And Apocalypse is the rewritten history. It doesn't happen. Origins doesn't happen anymore. The first X-Men doesn't happen anymore. All those events got erased. It doesn't mean they're not canon, because those have to happen in order to get the new timeline. It's cyclical. It happens for a reason. So in Deadpool 3, he can knock on the door, and Logan will fucking open the door to the mansion, and they'll go off in their journey in the year 2024. It could be a sequel to Days of Future Past, dude. I'm telling you, it's right there. And at the end of the movie, a wormhole opens up or something. Deadpool's like, they're both going together or whatever, and Logan gets left behind or something. And then that's the reason why Deadpool's the only one in the MCU. Like, they're going to do something like that, guys. Or, this is Marvel Disney now, but it's also Ryan. So I'm hoping they're not going to be lazy and just say, oh, it's an 838 variant. Because being a variant is just too easy. It's too easy. You're bringing back Hugh Jackman. And Deadpool already has cameos from the Dark Phoenix cast. So they're keeping in that continuity. So you open the movie with your Dark Phoenix era timeline, Days of Future Past timeline. Oh, but Jean Grey dies in Dark Phoenix. Okay, she dies in The Last Stand, or she dies in X2, and she still comes back to life. So if you watch Dark Phoenix, she's in the sky flying around. That's what happens at the end of X2, and then in the following movies, she's alive again. So having Jean Grey being in Days of Future Past doesn't mean Dark Phoenix isn't connected to that. Anyways, Deadpool 3. What do you guys think about Deadpool 3? Are you guys hyped for Wolverine, Hugh Jackman's triumphant return again? Do you think they should have left it alone and Logan is the definitive ending? What do you guys think about this news? Comment below and let me know.